What up? UFC 217. Super pumped. I mean, I'm pretty pumped about every fight. And I know that's true. And I know that that's the truth. But this one's pretty awesome. I mean, really. Jorge Masvidal, Stephen Thompson, you know, like really. I'm going to talk more about that next week. So pumped for that. But Rose Namajunas and Joanna Jedrzejczyk. It's about as good of a fight as you can put together, really. It's really spectacular and it's really fascinating. Really fascinating. There is a certain quiet group of people in the fight game. They don't want to talk about it because they know people will misunderstand it. So, and I've talked to some of them. I'll tell you what that world of thinking is and why it's controversial and difficult to talk about. But those people, a couple of them are like, fuck this Joanna Jedrzejczyk thing. This is fucking world-class real. Now, very quickly, I don't want anyone to judge anybody for this. The very best, the top 20 fighters, men's fighters, 145, 155, 170, the level of where the women fighting is, all women, the top 20, the skill level is not there at that same level. Now, this is not a judgment. This is not a sexist thing. This is not to do with women and men. This is to do with factual analysis. There are explanations that have nothing to do with being a man or a woman. They have to do with finances. There was not money in women's MMA until only, how long was Ronda? 5 or 6 years ago? 6 or 7 maybe? Yeah. I mean, there was no money in it. So there was no specialized coaching for that sport. And so as a result, it started a little bit further behind. Now, you can't really talk about that because the world that we live in, people will start talking about sexism. This is not sexism. This is commerce-based. This is a financial unfairness that existed that is now gone. So as a result, what you get to see is this massively fast evolution, much faster than men's MMA did, because one, you have the specialized knowledge of the coaches, men and women, who tried trial and errored for 20 years before specializing and focusing on this group of human beings. So it's much faster, and it's amazing. It's amazing to see. It's an incredible thing to see. This unfair nature of where money was distributed in fighting, all men and barely any towards women, allowed us to have this amazing period, this beautiful moment where we get to see hyper-evolution. So don't live in the past where we go, that was unfair. That was unfair. But if we live in the present, we go, the payoff for the audience is this incredible speed of evolution. And if you look at Joanna, nobody has evolved faster than you. And I know when you look at Joanna's first couple of fights in the UFC, she was already a super established kickboxer and Muay Thai fighter. But you look at the first one till now, of course she was fucking brilliant in her first UFC fights. But now this is another level. This is a fucking crazy other level that we had never before really been able to see, again, because money wasn't pointed at women's MMA like it is now. So now she can have the best coaches, the best training partners. She can have what they all have had. And it's awesome. And she's fucking awesome. And the subtleties of what she's doing, even when you just see footage of her training. Because today I'm really seeing more than ever, the limited moments we have in the fight are not enough for us to get the full picture. You know, the little highlight reel or, you know, seeing, oh my, you know, look what she did to end this fight. You got to see what they're working on. That's what's fascinating, watching them grow and change. And this woman has probably improved. She was already the best, and she's improved more than any of them. You will expect a lot of elbows in this one. It just makes sense. It's something she's done more and more of, and she does a lot of things fucking brilliantly. But as she strikes and reestablishes distance, fucking unreal. You watch it, bang, and back out to distance, phenomenal. And what goes so well with that is strike and follow into distance, because they start to expect you to hit and move away, hit and move away. And once somebody starts to expect something or trains for something or identifies you, you know, which is one of the flaws in the way that we, television and the internet, kind of the way we can currently examine and study these people. We have a fight every 4 months. That's one moment, in a singular moment in time, based on the two of them and the strategies and their health on the night and the coaching and whatever. And we get 2% of who they are. And then we're asked and tasked with trying to say, you know, this is a great striker. Her Muay Thai background is excellent. She uses her range extraordinarily well. She's got vicious low kicks or takedown defense. And we start to have to categorize a bunch of nonsense that is not 2% of it. But then we tell the audience that this is who they are. This is, here in these 45 seconds, as the camera cuts to me, I will say a bunch of stuff about her vicious striking and her powerful low kicks and her takedown defense and her mean streak. And then we send the world out with that information, and that's all she is. It's not all she is. This is an unbelievable learning machine, fighting machine. And the next layer for her is adding an even more vicious elbowing game and moving into it. And as Rose will move towards her, Rose has to move towards her. Even as I said that, she doesn't have to do anything. Rose can absolutely develop a strategy to fight from the outside and win. And if you're saying she's not as good of a striker out there, there are ways that people, and that may not be true. That's an opinion based on limited amounts of information. But even if it were true, you can beat the better fighter. The right strategy and the right idea and the right moments, just a little good fortune and bringing the best out of yourself, you can beat the best. We've seen Yoel Romero get taken down. You know what I mean? I don't know how much evidence we need. We see it all the time. You know? We see it all the time. The better fighter can be beaten in places that they're brilliant. But we're not going to just say that Joanna is too dangerous of a striker. Rose's a motherfucker. Can I say that? I mean, I can, right? I mean, that's that term that we use sounds so much weirder when you assign. It's a ridiculous term when you really think about it. What was that one where Nick Diaz used it? Danaher. Yeah, Nick Diaz's use of that term. If, of course, any term or any idea that gets, is too dangerous or too scary becomes really powerful. The reason we can't eye poke is it's fucking powerful. The word motherfucker is just a bunch of letters. But as soon as you say you can't do it, it becomes more powerful. But I digress, as I often do. But Rose, very dangerous, and can absolutely fight her from the outside. But presumably, you would expect a high likelihood of Rose closing the distance, getting to the body lock. The best way to approach, based on this old information from what we saw in the past, was to get the body lock on Joanna. As soon as you drive in on her hips, old school, drive their hip bone onto the back of your head, smush your face against the mat. And that is a really, really dominant position. And you think about that for a moment. You attempted to use an offensive choice on me to get a dominant position. In attempting it, you put yourself into a situation where if I succeed in this moment, I'm in the dominant position. So once upon a time, we used to think, well, you try to take down, got stuffed. End of story, move on. No, it's not like that anymore. You try a takedown. It isn't like binary, either you got it or you failed. It's now, so it's not 1 or 0. Failed is 0. Got the takedown is 1. It's 1 or -2. You tried the takedown and got stuffed and are in a way worse position than when you started, and you've expended energy, which is one of the reasons people they're slowly shying away from that. It's a fuck of a lot of work. But man, when you drive in on her hip, she gets her hip back, squashes your face to the mat, and brutalizes you. And it's a great mindset. Not only are you going to work and fail and get put in a bad spot, but I'm going to fucking hurt you every time. Pretty soon you stop. How many times you got to get elbowed in the face till you stop doing that thing? Okay, whatever it is. You keep stealing cookies, someone elbows you in the face, pretty soon you don't steal cookies anymore, right? But the body lock is a much better strategy. Joanna knows this, her coaches know this, so I'm sure she's been working the game off of that. But to do that, we have to get in close. And to get in close, if you're Joanna, Jedrzejczyk, you start elbowing this girl's face apart. So expect to see her trying to do that. And I want to talk about Rose a little bit before I jump on a plane and head to Vegas. I'm super stoked about this New York, Vegas. Head to New York. And then I go to China from there, actually. World Kung Fu Championships commentating. So it's New York, straight from JFK, I go to China. But Rose, I've been really blown away by her self-awareness and her study of herself and her true, the only way you're going to grow, in her case as a martial artist and a human being, in your case as a husband or father or, you know, like an employee or business owner or cook or whatever, is just you're going to truly study yourself and accept the truths as you see them now, and then you can change them. And Rose seems to have very much done that. Obviously, so just the physical, I have had the good fortune to be at a lot of open workouts, and I fucking love them. To me, they are just this incredible. I know a lot of fighters go in, do the thing, say a couple things, you have to be interviewed. But for me, I'm getting to see some things that I want to see every day. And of them, the one who had the best sort of real true sense of herself in space, or one of them, obviously fucking Pettis and, you know, Doo-Ho Choi and, you know, there's a lot of them, but there's something about her awareness of her position in space. Proprioception is the word. It's a sense of where you are in space, and in fighting you use it in conjunction to the other person, of how her body connects. You can watch these two joints and the two hip joints move independently, the way a drummer moves. It's fucking amazing. So she's a brilliant fighter, and she's vicious, and she's tactical, and she's very good on top, and all of that. But I saw a couple of times where she's spoken, and she said, I know what it is. I know that there are people who realize that I'm one of the very best fighters in the world, and on some nights I show up and on some nights I don't. And I said that, and I think others maybe have, but a lot of people don't even look that deep into shit, let's be honest. But for her to see that, she can change it. Some people shy away from that shit. Oh no, these fucking dummies and fucking analysts, they don't know shit. You know, fucking somebody sitting on the Fox desk getting paid a couple grand to talk about me. It's like, but not her. She went and said, is this true? Is this true about myself? I think it is. Okay. Once you accept it, you can change it. You know, McGregor said, yeah, I get tired. It can change it. Yeah, there's a psychological issue as I get fatigued. I don't know. You can change it. If you say, yeah, I'm kind of a jerk to my neighbor sometimes, you can change it. If you say, you know, when I'm tired and I'm in a rush for work and people cut me off, I think the whole world should be aware of where I am. Hey, Robin's fucking driving here. You can change that as soon as you see that. And Rose looked at it and said her mentality and her ability to get the best out of herself is her challenge, and she can change it. I'll fucking bet she did. You can see the growth. You can see the self-improvement, the evolution, the psychological and emotional and artistry in the evolution of Rose. And I fucking can't wait to see this fight. I just can't wait. And I'm a big fan of Rose Namajunas. Big fan. Both of these two. And I'm so happy to see like when women fight now, they are as good or better than the men. And that little group of people who are experts in fighting or coaches or whatever who quite truly talked about how that wasn't the case, but couldn't talk about that because they were worried about how people would take it or call them sexist or whatever. They don't have to worry about it anymore. Because fucking you look at these two fighters, these are as good as any man, woman, child, dog, cat, giraffe, spaceman, whatever. These are two of the great fighters in the world. And if they can go out and get the best out of themselves, we're in for a fucking treat. And I really hope they both have a brilliant night. I really do. Yeah. This one's going to be really good. This is one of the, oh my God, there's so many fights I'm excited about this weekend. I can't even deal with it. Oh, it's so good. But I really do. And Joanna, I've enjoyed working with her when I've done analysis stuff with her. I enjoy watching her fights. And I'm a big fan of Rose. So I don't want to cheer for anybody. I just want to see a beautiful fight, and that's what we're going to get. Blackout.